G'day, I'm Tim Thompson and I'm standing in front of a shed, in a shed, for a good reason. Come and find out with me a fantastic story about a family engineering business that has just taken off and is taking on the world. Nicole, how are you?
Good, Tim. Good to see you.
Rod,
Hi, Tim.
how you going?
Good,
Yeah.
thanks. Good.
Welcome all the way out here.
Thank you. It's been a bit of a drive, but it's been well worth it.
It's a damn long way.
Now, why are we standing in front of a shed within a shed?
We live on Rod's grandparents' property.
Yep.
So this is the workshop that Terry Davidson, Rod's grandfather, built in the late 40s, early 50s. He did all his farm maintenance in here.
And this is the site, Rod, of you starting your engineering business back in the 80s, is that correct?
Yep, 89.
In that shed?
Yes, I built a ute. I used to build ute trays in there. Cab of the ute was out here and the tray was back in that end. So
Just enough room for the tray?
barely, yeah.
Yeah, right. So then you decided to extend this shed?
Yeah, we built this piece here and then a piece out there and then gave up and we shifted up the hill, which you'll
Got a
see
brand
shortly.
new shed.
Yeah.
You're manufacturing in regional Victoria.
Yes.
Regional manufacturing comes with challenges. We're going to find out about a few of the challenges that you've had to face setting up an engineering works at Wando Bridge and employing lots of people locally and exporting around the world.
Yeah, there's certainly been some challenges.
So this is a video about challenges
Yep.
and how positivity overcomes them.
Yep.
That's right.
I can't wait. So 1989, you start manufacturing down there in Grandpa's old shed on
Yep.
family property.
Yep.
And then 11 years later, you build the first part of what is about 5 iterations of your current shed.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
But you've had to overcome a few problems.
Yes.
We
yeah,
certainly
lots
have.
of them.
Now, Rod and Nicole, you've also got your own Wi-Fi tower on the property. This was another barrier to doing business in regional Australia, isn't it, is internet connectivity.
Yeah, the internet supply was very small amount of internet and the price was huge, like hundreds of dollars a month it was costing.
Yep, and you were running out all the time.
Running out all the time with teenage kids doing schoolwork and so on.
Yep, and it's hard to run a business these days if you don't have access to the internet, isn't it?
Well, we couldn't even run an FPOS machine until only a couple of years ago.
Tell me about this solution. Who's behind this? What is it? How does it work?
The company called Into IT came
Yep.
along and well, we found them. He's quite local to here and he supplied this booster tower or whatever you call it for an initial connection of $1,600 to set it up and then...
So that's a setup fee of $1,600, which is less than putting solar panels on the roof.
Yep, correct.
And then how much does it cost you to run it from that point
The
forward?
bill's $90 a month for unlimited.
And that's created another business opportunity for you guys because you apparently now make all of the towers. You fabricate the towers for these guys.
Yeah, he was getting his steel elsewhere and then he found us and I don't know, we've probably done 400 towers or something like that in the last couple of years. Yeah.
So guys, if you're absolutely jack of your bad internet connection and the large companies aren't looking after you, who is it? Into IT.
Into IT.
Look them up, they might be able to help you out. Wow. Well, Rod, this is a little bit bigger than Granddad's shed, isn't it?
Yeah, upsized quite a bit, yes.
Yeah, and you didn't have too many planning problems building a shed of this size on the property?
There was a few little issues with council regarding exit signs and getting out of the building. So up that end we have a 18 metre opening and they reckoned it needed a bit bigger than normal exit sign.
So once you cut up a new exit sign and hung it up, they left you alone?
They did, they were happy then, yes.
Okay, that's good. I wouldn't have picked that as an exit if you hadn't put the sign up there, mate. So it looks like we're getting things right.
Yes,
that's
correct.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah. The sheer scale of what you've got here, I mean, you've not just got fitting and turning, you've got welding, you've got fabrication, you've got all sorts of things going on. You fix air seeders, tractors, trucks, road vehicles. You do it all.
Yep.
Have you had any limitations with accessing power and things like that in the place to run this heavy equipment?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like back when I started in the old shed, we only had single phase power.
Yep.
And after a while you realise it's terrible and you've got to have 3-phase power. So we needed to install a polyphase machine which converts your single phase power into 3-phase power. Tim, this is our polyphase unit.
So there's some spaghetti there.
Yeah, so up here we have two program logic controllers that do the controlling of, obviously.
Yep.
And then it looks terrible, but it's a row of capacitors, a row of contactors, and then just the switch gear sending,
That's your feed out to all your machines.
feed out to all the machines.
And what sort of machines are you running off this setup?
Up to 18 kilowatts are running, so we've got a couple of lathes, a couple of presses, a couple of guillotines. It just goes on and on and on.
You just keep buying more equipment.
It's a real disease. It's a lifelong addiction, buying machinery and tools. And
who dies with the most tools wins.
Who dies with the most tools wins. Once you've got the power set up, you can run this machine here called a press brake, which bends sheet metal. And then over here we've got the folder, which folds sheet metal as well, and then the guillotine here, the guillotine to cut your sheet metal up. Then round here in the racks, we've got the three racks of sheet metal. And as we walk a bit further down the shed, we'll come through this way, and then we have a milling machine, shortly followed by one lathe. And then we just step through this doorway this way.
It's like an Aladdin's cave here, mate. It just keeps going and going.
Keeps going. Then we've got the big lathe.
No, that is a big sucker, isn't it?
Yeah, 9 tonne that weighed. So that was a job to get that in. The most interesting job we've probably done this one, we've had a shaft in it 9 metres long, which hang out both ends a fair way, but it could be got in there, so the capacity's great. Little sheet metal roller. And then the old horizontal borer here that's not quite running yet. And that was
a bargain pickup, was it?
Yeah, it was $500, yeah.
You've had another problem too, and that is getting workers, getting skilled workers. And you've had a few approaches to that over the last 20 or 30 years that have helped you overcome that problem as well. Can you tell me about that? Because you actually invest in the community, don't you?
Yeah, we've always had apprentices and trained up young kids. We've had an apprentice pretty much all the time, and we get the school-based kids in doing 1 or 2 days a week as well, just to get them going.
That's seen as a relatively new thing, but you've been doing that for over 20 years, haven't you?
Been doing it since it started,
Yeah. So you've always got an apprentice on staff. How many apprentices have you trained up now in your local community?
I think we're up to number 7.
We better talk to the boss lady now.
Yes.
Because, wait, there's more. You had to build another shed for an idea you got for fencing clips.
Exactly.
Which is where I met you guys.
That's right.
So Nicole, let's go out into the paddock and find out a bit of the story about the development of this fencing clip, and then we'll end up back in the shed and we'll get under Rod's feet again.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, Nicole, there's nothing better, beautiful morning like this, than bringing the stock onto a new paddock and giving them a bit of a feed. What a wonderful way to spend your day.
That's fantastic, isn't it? The sun's shining. There was a frost this morning, but the cows are fat and happy. We've got the best autumn growth that we've had for years and years.
Yep.
The calves are due in a couple of weeks.
Now, these started out with 6 cows because you couldn't go to New Zealand.
Funny story, that. Rod had his engineering business. I helped do the bookwork, but mostly a stay-at-home mum.
Yep.
I said, I'm turning 40, Rod. I think we ought to go to New Zealand for a holiday.
That sounds to me like a midlife crisis there, Nicole.
No. Rod said, I don't know. Can't see why you'd want to do that. Nah,
that's a large conversation with Rod, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, he's a man of few words. Yeah. So I said, well, if we can't go to New Zealand, you can buy me some cows. I've seen those Dexter cows. I'd really like some Dexter cows.
So you got your cows?
So he bought me 6 Dexter cows, a cow in calf and 5 heifers. So before I knew what, I'd bought 6 and all of a sudden it was 7.
So those 6 cows, 7, have turned into how many now?
I think there's about 90 at the moment.
So you're an entrepreneurial couple. Rod's small engineering prefab business in his grandpa's shed has turned into a massive shed full of all sorts of toys that employs 4 or 5 people locally, full time. And you've bought 6 cows, you've turned them into 90. That's led you to buying neighbours' properties, which led to problems with the fences.
It sure did.
Which started your business.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the problem with the fence.
Well, when you buy a property off an older bloke, the fences were built really well.
Yep.
For him. and his enterprise when he was a bit younger. So by the time we took the property over, many of those fences were nearing the end of their lifespan. So there was one fence in particular where the electric fence had broken down. The post spacing was too wide for these Dexter cattle because they are just so clever. So we put some extra posts in it and a few extra wires on it, and our son Jimmy and I were out hammering staples in.
All day?
All day, yep.
That made you happy, didn't it?
Well, it's always nice being out in the paddock, but when this arm is exhausted and that arm's bruised, we came back in at the end of the day and Rod said, "How'd you get on?" So we told him.
Yeah, that would have hurt, I imagine.
Yeah, we told Rod how it was. Why can't we screw something in? This is just ridiculous, it's too hard. And he just left the room, he didn't say a thing. So I thought, oh well, not going to get any sympathy there.
Yeah, that's right, conversation's over.
The end.
Yep.
An hour later, he walked back into the room and he held out his hand and he said, "I think I've fixed it for you, Nick."
Yep.
And in his hand was this little bent up piece of old electrical wire.
Yep.
In the shape of Davos fencing clip. And we just looked at it and went, well, we better buy some of those. But you can't buy them because nobody was making them.
Make them.
So then we had to make them.
So then you had to get a machine to make them.
Yes, which means we needed a new shed.
So you built a new shed for the new machine.
To make these new clips, which now I don't have time to build my own fences because I'm too busy selling Davos fencing clips all over the world.
Amazing. And you export to a number of countries and you're actually employing locally now in your business as well.
Yep.
You've got 2 other workers working with you in your business.
Yep.
Just producing and supplying these clips.
Yeah. Yep.
But it hasn't stopped there, has it? Because now that one machine couldn't keep up.
No.
So you went for a bit of a grant to get another machine.
We did. So the machine we started with was a very old, very economical, just so that we could test the market and see whether this idea was going to fly or not.
Another one of Rod's $500 buys.
Yeah, something like that. 5,000, I think, but yeah.
Yep, close.
Yep. You know, only risk what you can afford to lose, sort of philosophy.
Yep.
It flew. You know, the first field day we went to, we sold out in the first morning.
Right.
So.
And you thought to yourself, geez, we've got a problem here.
This isn't a problem, this is a challenge. What a great challenge to have.
Yep.
We now have the evidence we need to give us the confidence to move forward with the business.
Yeah.
So we applied for a grant, the Manufacturing Modernisation Fund gave us $100,000 to buy amazing state-of-the-art equipment to bend up Davos fencing clips and whatever else we want out of wire.
Nicole, this is shed number, 12.
Four or five.
This is the home of Davos fencing clip.
Yeah, all the manufacturing happens in this little space here.
So you've had to custom build this shed just to do your manufacturing process. And I can see over in the corner there is a machine called Grant.
Yeah, Grant's our best friend.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
Good to be able to access that for Australian manufacturers too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's good that the government is actually supporting manufacturing.
Yeah, and they really are these days.
That's fantastic. Fantastic news. All right, let's come over and see how Grant works. Rod and Nicole, thanks so much for taking us through everything that you're doing. Your entrepreneurship and your get up and go spirit and your ability to just take things on is an inspiration to all of us. We're standing in front of a machine called Grant that turns that wire into those clips so fast, and it's all come about because of seeing a solution to a problem that no one had thought of. And I think that sums you guys up. So it's been an absolute pleasure spending time with you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you so much for your hospitality.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
And guys, if you haven't tried Davos fencing clips yet, well, you need to. If you like this kind of video, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and there's plenty more like this and more on timthompson.ag. I'll see you next week.